a game collector, something that you have to contend with is the idea of collateral. What I mean by collateral is those games that you pick up when you go to a game store that are not on your list. You could be going there with a very specific, I want to buy this game, and then you stop in and the registered guy is busy or something, and you walk around and you see Super Nintendo game. Hey, that looks pretty neat. I've never seen this before. Oh, you eBay it. It's actually a good price. And oh, hey, all right. Well, guess I'll add this to the list. Boom. That's collateral right there. Recently, I took a trip to Korea and Japan to visit my partner's family, and it was really awesome. It was an incredible experience and long time coming. So that was great. But while we were there, I also got to do some game shopping in both Korea and Japan, which was really cool and really exciting for me. And this stack here is everything I got overseas, and most of it is collateral. So collateral is a fun, experience that I think a lot of collectors have of any genre, CD collectors or music collectors or DVD collectors. I'm sure that kind of thing is a common experience. The thing that makes collateral fun is that you never know what you're going to get. It kind of feels like a bit of like a lottery of like, hey, this looks neat. It's maybe from a company you recognize, like with games, like maybe I picked up this, really fun game here by Namco. This is Family Jockey on the Game Boy. It's a Japanese like horse racing game, and it's this fun little button masher strategy game where you pick horses and race them, and it's really cute and fun. And I loved it so much that I actually went to my local game store when I got back home, and they had a copy on the Famicom, and I was able to pick it up, and it was super cheap. And I'm glad I got the home version, because last time me and my partner were able to play it, and it was a blast. So yeah, I mean, collateral can lead to things like that, like you finding a potentially new favorite game. So with that, I would like to go through some pros and cons about it. Like I said, you could find new favorites. Might also find a good deal. Like if you're at a store, you see something and you're like, oh, I've never heard of this before, and you check on eBay and you see that the store has it for a little bit cheaper. That's pretty neat. You could pick it up and maybe have something to flip later on if you play it and you end up not liking it, or you beat it and you don't want it in your collection anymore. I think that's a great way to keep games back in circulation, and maybe you can make a little bit of money. That's a little bit of a bonus. I wouldn't count on it, but I think it's a fun, little thing to do. And lastly, if you're, getting collateral from local game stores, you're just supporting local businesses, which is, always a good thing. Some cons is, if you get random games and you end up not liking them, that's a little bit of, on you to lose, however much you put down. You also, let's say you don't have your phone, or your phone's dead or something, and you can't research it. You don't know if the price is going to be good, or if it's something you're just not going to even like based on the cover and this and that. So in those events, I think the collateral you pick really comes down to a personal preference, and you kind of have to have a guiding, sense of I like this thing, so I'm keeping my eye out for games that are like this. For me, I was really on the hunt for a lot of shoot 'em ups, and I was lucky to find a good amount. Not as many as I wanted, but I did get some big ones that were on my list and some that weren't. So yeah, I mean, without further ado, I guess we could get into the games that I did pick up over in Korea and Japan. And we'll start with the top and go down. So at the beginning, we have, as we've already seen, Family Jockey. This is a Game Boy game. It has link play for 2-player for horse races. I think I want to buy another copy so I can play this with 2 people, because it's so fun. And yeah, it's just like a horse racing button masher game. You just mash the A, and that is how you run. It's like hitting the horse with the whip. And then there are some courses that have hurdles that you have to jump, so you just press B. And it's super addicting, super fun. It's got fun music. And yeah, I think it's just one of those classic Famicom. It almost looks like Excite Bike, it's just got really simple graphics, and it's just infinitely playable. You turn it on, you press 2 buttons, and you're horsing a race. You're racing a horse. Next up, we got Shiren the Wanderer Game Boy. I love roguelikes, and I was just thinking like a roguelike would be pretty perfect on a Game Boy. This game has a lot of Japanese text in it, which is really funny. I also think the save battery is dead, so I've started it and then turned it off and the save was gone, so that was a little frustrating, but I don't think it's like too heavy on the story where I couldn't play it in Japanese. I think it's just like trying to understand what symbols mean, like the heal items and like different things like that. So I'm gonna keep poking at this. I also do have a new battery that I can swap out. I just need to like do that. Just been lazy. So yeah, Shiren the Wanderer. Even without that though, this has like puzzle levels that are really neat. And those, it's like 50 of them that you can just like start and do. So if I do want to play some little roguelike puzzle zones, like I at least have that. So yeah, Shiren the Wanderer on the Game Boy. Really happy I got that. And then finally in Japan for the Game Boy, I was able to pick up this copy of Solar Striker. This is like one of those really old Game Boy games. Like this came out in 1989. I think it was a launch title for the system, and it is bog standard, but the ship moves at a nice pace, and the enemy like patterns are really neat and just like it's again like very playable. Like they knew what they were doing with the Game Boy of like people are gonna turn this on and want to play a game. There's no bullshit. There's no like long startup. It's like level 1 and then like 10 seconds later there's an enemy. I think within turning on the system and shooting an enemy, it's like 8 to 10 seconds of time. So like they understood the assignment, and like with that they also made the end of the game pretty difficult. Like I haven't gotten past level 4. I've made it to level 4, and then 4 gets pretty hard, and I think there's 6 levels. So it's kind of one of those games that as soon as I picked it up in Japan, I played it the rest of my trip, which was like I picked it up around the middle of a 2-week trip. So for like a week, anytime I had a little bit of downtime with my Game Boy with me, like I would just pop it up and play because it was so fast to get into it. So, you know, putting in a good amount of time, I never beat it. I think that's pretty awesome, you know, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, if you're looking for like simple shoot 'em up on the Game Boy, Solar Striker is a great one. So while we were in Korea, we went to this game store, and it was really tiny. It was cool, and it was run by this really cool guy. I got a picture here I can show you, and yeah, he was really sweet, and this place was awesome. And I picked up a few Famicom games. They are the ones near the top here. And the first one is really fun. Oh wait, I actually only got this one Famicom game. This is Pocket Monsters Silver. It looks like Pokemon Silver on the Famicom, but it is not. It is like, I actually think it's like the Ronald McDonald NES platformer, not made by Treasure. Like the Treasure, I think, made the Genesis Ronald McDonald game, but it's like kind of like that. And yeah, it's just like a platformer, but it's got like this really scary Pikachu reskin. So that's one of the games that I picked up. And the guy was really nice about it. He's like, "This is not authentic, you know." I was like, "Yeah, I know." Yeah, they didn't make this for the, you know, this weird light plastic. But anyway, really nice of him, and I just wanted it because it looked so crazy and silly, it was. So that'll be fun to check out one other time. Then on to Japan. In Japan, I only got to go to like 2 game stores in Japan, but what I was able to pick up there is pretty decent. So we went to like this mall that had an electronics like reseller. It's basically just like a book off or a hard off, but it wasn't. It was, I forget what it was called, but they had a few games, nothing crazy. But this is what I was able to pick up from there. I was looking for a copy of Super Mario Bros. 3, and this is not that. This is Super Mario Bros. 1. So I read it wrong. I was just like, yeah, this has to be it. It's a yellow. I don't know why, like what made me think this was 3. But so now I have 2 copies of Super Mario Bros. 1, the NES and the Famicom version. I mean, I like this game. Wish this was Super Mario Bros. 3, But maybe we'll get that, some other time. Next is Ease. This is Ease 1 on the NES. This was a game that I have played on an emulator, and I was into it. I played the PC Engine CD version. And it was really sick. It was really fun. And then I saw that there was an NES version. And when I looked up the YouTube video for it, I was worried that the gameplay was going to be really slow, because the PC Engine version is really fast. It has this really kind of you just walk fast, and it's nice. And I was like, it's probably not going to be that fast on the NES. And it was. So I was like, oh, that's cool. It was on the Famicom, so I kind of had a feeling it would be relatively common, because when I looked it up on eBay, it was cheap. So I just was like, all right, well, let me see about picking it up there. And I was able to find it. They had a bunch of copies. I was kind of right. They did have a lot. Ease 2, I think, is a little less common. I was looking to get both, but I didn't see Ease 2, so no big deal. Another game that I picked up there, Dragon Quest IV on the Famicom. So I know I just went on about how the getting these games in Japanese is a little hard. Yeah, but I still wanted to buy a Dragon Quest game in Japan. So I did that. I also was able to buy Dragon Quest III Remaster, the newest Dragon Quest game. I was able to buy that in Japan as well, and that was really cool. I haven't gotten a chance to play that yet, but I'm looking forward to it. Good time. Next up, I picked up a copy of Gradius. And this one came with the box. This was so sick. So I was able to get the box and the game for Gradius. It wasn't it was $40, so not crazy good. It was in our favor. So this is more $35, $33. So not bad. But yeah, I've been, like I said, really into shmups, really into early kind of simpler style. I have Life Force, which is part of the Gradius series. I have that on the NES. And so it was cool to pick up this, version of the Gradius series. And yeah, I've been playing a lot of it. It's a lot of fun. Similarly, I was also able to pick up Twinbee. Twinbee here on the Famicom. This is another Konami shoot 'em up. And this is kind of where I got into the collateral thing. The games that I was looking for were just shoot 'em ups, and then I realized wait, all of the games that I want are basically Konami games. I was looking for Salamander, this, and then I saw Twinbee and I was like, oh, Twinbee would be cool. And then I was like, oh, what about Parodius? That would be fun too. It's these are all just Konami shooters. Twinbee is a character in Parodius, playable. So it was just so funny to me. So yeah, because I had this sense of oh, I know Konami, it made that collateral part easier of just oh yeah, I can just look for this company, and I know their shooters are going to be kind of neat, and I like how they play. So yeah, getting a lot of Konami shooters on this trip was really neat and unexpected a little bit. So yeah, that's the Famicom games I was able to pick up at this store. I also was able to get some PlayStation games. This is the only PlayStation game I got at that store, and then I got some other stuff at another. Yeah, right. What's this last thing? Oh no, yeah, I did get all of these. Oh, I think I got this too. No, anyway, just this. This is Gradius Gaiden. This is one of the best Gradius games out there. According to big Gradius fans of the series, they say that this is one of not necessarily the easiest, but one of the more beginner friendly ones. It still has a good challenge if you're looking for that, but it's really unique. It doesn't have a lot of usual levels that you would see in the Gradius series. The Gradius series is one that tends to stick to tradition. The last Gradius game was Gradius 5 on the PlayStation 2, and that was one that was a little bit different, but still had a lot of similar levels and design in that way. But Gradius Gaiden is kind of the spin-off, the fun, all right, let's do the weird stuff. And for that, it's got, big fans, and I've been playing a lot of it and having a lot of fun. So yeah. Next, we got Ridge Racer. This is one of those games that I just love to play every once in a while, super replayable. You turn it on, boom, do a race, have a blast. I really love Ridge Racer 4. I was looking for that, but I wasn't able to see that. It's okay. I was able to see Ridge Racer 1 and get a copy, and it's been a blast. So yeah. Next up, another Konami shooting game, Salamander Deluxe Pack Plus. This is one of those games that I have played a lot of on emulators and really liked. These are the arcade versions of the Salamander games. There's like the Japanese version, which brings the option system back. The American version, which just does an automatic like power up of your ship. And then Salamander 2, which is really cool and kind of underloved. So yeah, I definitely will be playing more of that as we go along. And then I picked that up at, this was one of the games I picked up in Korea. So it's a little disjointed, but this stuff I picked up at one store along with Ridge Racer in Japan. So Ridge Racer and these 3 games. Chocobo GP. This was a game that I just saw and I was just like, oh, that would be kind of cool. Like, I've heard of it. I know it's just like an RPG, kart racer, and I'd never played it before, so I was like, screw it, why not? On the same tip, I got Chocobo Dungeon 2. I believe this is Chocobo Dungeon 2. I can't read Japanese, but I'm pretty sure the first one was on this Super Famicom. So yeah, this is, I have played a little bit of this in English on an emulator, but I saw this and I was like, it's a roguelike, whatever, I can get that, I can get into that. I do think there is a little bit more Japanese in this than I realized, but it's okay. I think it'll be fun to play. And lastly, from this one store in Japan, Ape Escape. This is the Japanese version of Ape Escape. Another game that I've never played. I've always been a fan of this series from afar. Like, it looked really neat. I like the aesthetic of it, and I love the PS1 graphics. But yeah, I just never played it, never tried it out. So saw it was relatively cheap, and I was like, let's get it. Alright, so back to Korea. These are some PS2 games that are mostly Korean, that I was really looking for. I also have some weird things at the bottom here that are 360 games. So in this store, they had, right by the door, this is in Korea, they had this just shelf of games that were 5 for $10. You can pick 5 of them, and it's $10 for all 5. Not like 10 per, it's $10. Get 5 games. So I was like, alright. So I was looking around, and it had a lot of dupes, a lot of sports games, a lot of random stuff that I just wasn't really that interested in. But there were a couple of games in there that really got me. So I'll pull those together. So these games, these 5 games, are what I picked up in that 5 for 10 list. This is, I don't even know how to say it. It's just some JRPG. I looked it up. I can't remember it now. I think it's like Mystic Heroes 2 or something like that. It's just like a longer it's like a turn-based JRPG. I haven't had a chance to play it too much, but it's pretty neat. This is another game that I got that I thought was funny. IQ Remix Plus. This is Intelligent Cube. Intelligent Cube is this PS1 puzzle game where you push a cube around on a grid, and it's really fun. I actually liked the gameplay of it, but I didn't even know they had this pro remastered version, and it's pretty neat to get it in Korean, so that was cool. So Intelligent Cube. Then this is another game that I kind of was looking for low-key. This is Maximo. This is a PS2 game, and I was able to get this in Korean. It doesn't really have any Korean text in the game, but that's okay. It's a pretty cool version of the game. And yeah, it's kind of like a 3D version of Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts, those, horror-themed action games from Capcom. So yeah, that's a cool game. Next on the 360, Guitar Hero 2 Korean. So it doesn't have any difference. I think it is just basically in English, and it uses all the same songs, but it's got the Korean on the box art and stuff, and all Korean on the back for the instructions. So this is just a neat, oddity to add to my collection. And then lastly, on that shelf, I couldn't find anything else that really piqued my interest. So I grabbed this Japanese copy of El Shaddai. This is a game that I've never played. I've been kind of interested in. It's like a character action game. I don't know how this is going to play on my 360. I guess I might have to like mod it or hack it or something, but I had to do that for my PS2 to get these other Japanese games to play, so I'm sure there's a way to do it. But yeah, El Shaddai, pretty neat. So yeah, those are the 5 games I was able to pick up off of the 5 for $10 shelf. And then the last 2 games I picked up at this Korean store was Tekken 4. This is Tekken 4 in Korean. So this is pretty cool. It has all the like subtitles are in Korean. I think the voices are Japanese, but still pretty neat to have. And lastly, I got a copy of Armored Core 3 Silent Line. This is the second like expansion or the expansion game off of Armored Core 3. This is Japanese. I do wish this was Korean, but it's okay. I think this is still pretty neat and a nice thing to add to my collection. So yeah, of the games that I mentioned at the beginning of this, I think 3 of them, like 3 of them were in my list. So there was a lot of collateral picked up overseas. But honestly, I'm really happy with everything that I was able to pick up. And I've been having a lot of fun playing everything, testing it all out to make sure it all worked. I did have a little scare with Gradius Guide, and I had to get it resurfaced. But since I've done that, it's been working relatively good. So keeping my fingers crossed that it's going to have a long life with me. I'm be sure to take care of it. But yeah, tell me what you guys think about this. If you guys have any good stories about when you went overseas and collected games, or if you have any stories of picking up way too many games when you were looking for just one specific thing. And yeah, love to hear from you guys. So leave a comment down below, and I'll see you next time. See you later.